In a small village called Omov, surrounded by thick green forest and farmlands that stretched like a white carpet, lived a young girl named Amora. Omov was not a rich village, but most people there had enough to survive. Farmers harvested cassava and yam, traders sold food in the dusty market, and children ran around freely in the open compounds. But Amora's life was different from that of other children. She was an orphan. Her father had died when she was only 6, after falling sick with a strange fever that the village healer could not cure. 2 years later, her mother also died during the rainy season after a short illness. From that day, Amora was left alone in the world. At first, some relatives promised to take care of her. But as time passed, their kindness slowly disappeared. She is old enough to walk, one aunt had said one afternoon. From then on, Amora had to survive by herself. She lived in a small mud hut at the edge of the village. The roof was made from dry palm leaves, and when heavy rain fell, water sometimes leaked inside. Most mornings, before the sun even rose, Amora would wake up and fetch water from the stream. The clay pot she carried was almost as big as her thin body. After fetching water, she would go into the forest to gather firewood. Sometimes villagers paid her a few coins for the firewood. Other times they simply took it and said, "You should be grateful we are allowing you to stay in this village." Despite the hardship, Amora was known for something very rare. She had a kind heart. Whenever she saw an elderly person struggling to carry something heavy, she would quickly run to help. "Grandma, let me help you carry this basket," she would say. Some old women in the village liked her because of this, but many people still treated her like she did not matter. At the village market, some traders often mocked her. "See how skinny she is," one woman said one afternoon while arranging tomatoes on a tray. "That girl will never amount to anything," another trader added, shaking her head. Amora heard the words, but she pretended not to. She simply continued walking. Inside her heart, she had learned something very important. Complaining would not change her situation. One evening, after a long day of work, Amora sat outside her hut and looked at the sky. The sun was slowly setting, turning the clouds into beautiful shades of orange and red. Her stomach growled loudly. That day she had eaten only a small piece of roasted cassava. She wrapped her thin arms around her knees and whispered quietly, "God, I don't ask for too much. I just want a better life one day." A soft evening wind passed through the trees as if carrying her words away. Amora did not know that her life was about to change in a way she could never imagine. The next day started like every other day. Before sunrise, Amora carried her rope and small cutlass and walked toward the forest to gather firewood. The forest was peaceful that morning. Birds were singing from the tall trees, and sunlight filtered through the leaves like golden threads. After collecting a large bundle of firewood, Amora tied them together with rope and lifted the heavy load onto her head. The bundle was so big that it slightly covered her face. She slowly began walking back to the village through a narrow path that passed beside an old iroko tree. That tree was famous in the village. Many elders believed spirits lived around it, so people usually avoided stopping there. But as Amora approached the tree, she suddenly noticed something strange. Someone was sitting under the tree. It was an old woman. Her hair was white like cotton, and she wore a long wrapper that looked older than time itself. Amora slowed down. The woman looked up and smiled gently. "Child," the old woman said softly, her voice calm but mysterious, "come here." Amora felt a strange feeling inside her chest. She could not explain it, but something about the woman did not feel dangerous, so she carefully lowered the heavy firewood from her head and walked closer. "Good evening, Mama," Amora greeted respectfully. The old woman looked at her closely, studying her face as if she already knew her. "You look very tired," the woman said. Amora smiled weakly. "I am used to it, Mama." The old woman's eyes softened. "Tell me your name, child." "My name is Amora." The woman nodded slowly, then she said something that surprised the girl. "I have been watching you." Amora's eyebrows lifted slightly. "Watching me?" "Yes," the old woman replied calmly. "And I know your story." Amora suddenly felt curious and a little nervous. How could a stranger know her story? The old woman slowly reached into a small cloth bag. "Come closer, Amora," she said. "There is something I want to give you." Amora stepped forward. She did not know it yet, but that moment under the Iroko tree would become the turning point of her entire life.